So when you first go into Matrix, you've got Market Watch,
Mm-hmm.
and this will show what is now it defaults to the current day. So if you look at it in the morning, all the numbers are going to be low. So I switched mine to 24-hour right here
Mm-hmm.
instead of today. So this will show what's happened in the last 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
And it defaults to single family, but you know, like if you do multifamily, you can switch it to that.
How would you be able to say, okay, now how does that compare to last month? Like say
Stats.
February
So
28th.
yeah, you'd have to do the stats and then InfoSparks.
Uh-huh.
There's market reports, which I think you guys get them in your email, but that's the monthly reports from the MLS. But if you go to InfoSparks, you can do like, so the default is the median sales price. And it defaults to the past 3 years.
Mm,
So that's obviously gone up quite a bit.
3 years.
But if we do like closed sales, and then I like to look at the monthly totals. So this is just going to show you the total closings for each month.
Uh-huh.
So obviously down in the winter, and then as you can see, it's coming back up. And then it defaults to the entire MLS
Okay.
and all property types. But yeah, if you want more specific, like just hit county. And then let's do Snohomish.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll do residential. Oops.
Now, if I want to see the activities, for example, I want to see a specific zip code.
Yeah, if you click here, you can do city or zip code. And you can also just type it in.
So it's in the InfoSparks.
Yeah, and that's under statistics.
Yeah. Got it.
So like this is the closed sales for my zip code. But they've got some many ones. Another one like, you know, you can do percent of original price. So for a while, the average or the median was 10% over listing price.
Mm-hmm.
That's for for February.
You know, I don't want to take up everybody's time, but
That's okay. I mean, that's actually a fairly common question. People will ask, like I've gotten a few agents asking about how to see, you know, how much over listing price things are selling.
you know,
So, okay, well, let's get to the new Authentisign. So just as a tip, if you do need to look up old ones, you still can just by clicking on classic. I don't have any for this transaction, obviously. But you can't start a new classic one anymore.
you cannot.
No, it's just, you know, if you need to go back and look at one of the forms for an old transaction, that's where you would find it, is under classic. But yeah, from, you know, last month going forward, everything's going to be on the new tab. But you know, they have to leave the old one there just because you have to, you know, archive stuff and have it available. So Okay, so to create a new signing, you just click on add. And I'll call this one test 2. Give it a name. Normally, I would name it, if you want to put like the client's name, last name, you can do that. Then name it, offer if you're doing an offer, listing if you're doing a listing. Just so when you go back, it's easy to find which part. And if it's a specific form, just give it the name of the form. And then hit save. And then I recommend adding participants first. If you go to the documents, which a lot of people want to do because it's on the left, we read left to right, it'll close all the other stuff. Whereas if you hit participants and go add from transaction, it's going to keep that there. So I've already got a couple sample ones in here. So you can check the ones you want, hit select. And then one of the new features is each person is color coded, which makes it really easy if you're manually having to put blocks in. If you miss one, you'll notice because you're missing a color on that page. So it's a lot easier to double check what you're doing. You can also, right from here, if you click on a person, it'll open up all their details.
Lost you there for a little bit.
Sorry, what was that?
I say I lost you over there for a little bit. Did everybody, or just me?
Did it cut out for anyone else?
Okay, low system resource may affect your audio quality.
Okay, yeah, that would be on your computer.
Oh,
If
okay.
you got other stuff open, go ahead and close what you can.
Gotcha.
Especially if you've got other web pages open.
Mhm.
Those can take up a lot of memory. But yeah, when you click on the person's name in here, it'll bring up their details. So like if you forgot to enter their email address, you can enter it in here. And then make sure you check update transaction contact if you make any changes here. And that way you won't have to do it every time. It'll update in the main contacts. Then down below, you've got custom signature. So as an example, if you're working with an estate, the name is going to be, estate of, then the deceased person. And then down here, you can enter in the signature for the person who's actually signing, and then, attorney in fact, or power of attorney, whatever it is for that situation. On the initials, you can still only do 5 characters. So if you can abbreviate it enough to fit in 5, go with that. Otherwise, it's best to check with escrow and see what they want it as. You can, like I know Debbie's done this a lot, use a text box to put in the power of attorney next to it, just as plain text, and then they'll just put in their initials. Or worst case scenario, use custom signatures for everything. Because as in general, a signature is better than an initial, so you can replace initials with signatures, but you can't replace signatures with initials. Then once you're done, make sure you hit save at the bottom. If you need to remove someone, like say you added yourself and then realize, oh, I don't need to sign anything on this, it's going to want, give you an error saying, hey, you've got this person that's not signing anything. So you'll just open up the page for that and hit remove from signing to delete someone. Okay, once you've got your signers in there, then go over to add a document. And this will pull up everything in your forms and in your documents. So this is for a condo purchase. So just go through and hit add on the ones that you want. And you'll see them popping in behind. Paint, title. We'll do inspection waiver. And then I was going to do the legal. So we have something legal and oops, 22K and legal. Okay, then once you're done, you would hit close. If you need to upload something, there's an upload tab. If you have the file open either in the browser or in just the Windows Explorer, you can just drag it to here or just click upload or add document in my computer. If you use Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropbox, that sort of stuff, you can also import it from there. But most people, you want to save a copy on your computer, so you've got it there. So go ahead and hit close once you're done with that. And the layout of this, it now shows all the individual forms here on the right. If you want to change the order of them, like let's say I want to put the inspection waiver higher up so that make sure they see that. You just grab the dots and you can just drag them around. And it does have numbers here that you can change, but it's a lot easier. It'll change them for you if you just drag it around. Let me put that back up there. And then there's a button at the bottom if you realize you needed to add something else. Now on most of these, it's going to autofill or auto place the signing blocks. I always recommend scroll down just to make sure they're there. There has been once or twice the MLS updated a form and didn't update the template for signing, and so it missed some. And if you ever do run across that, call or email the MLS. They usually fix it pretty quick. Scroll down. So I know on the lead paint, oops. Okay, here's one. So one thing you'll notice here, this is one of the new really nice features. As long as the forms from the other agent were also done in transaction desk and not scanned, it will now add signing blocks to those. So you can see here, they signed it in Authentisign, but it's still put in the blocks for your client. You will, however, need to fill in like the purchase and sale date and their names. So you'll go to tools. And then for signer name, under signer fields, you've got just stock stuff like their name, email address. So I can just drag that person's name over, then switch to buyer 2, and this will change color too, so you know who you're on. So add buyer 2. And then for dates, you want to do a text box. So you click on that and then click where you want it. And we'll do 4/21, 22. The reason is there is an auto date. However, that's the date. It'll put in the date whenever they actually sign it. But this is the date for the purchase and sale, which is going to be a static date from when the first form was signed. You first had mutual. So you always want to type that in. Don't use the auto date. Text will also now, if I move this up, you'll see it has a white background. On the old system, it was always transparent. So if it's covering up something, just click on it and that'll give you the settings and you turn transparent background on. One of the biggest issues I see agents having is they try to drag the slider here and it looks like it slides, but it doesn't. You actually just click on it and then click again to turn it off. If you want it to always be transparent, you can hit save as default settings. And then whenever you add a text box, it'll be transparent like the old one was. The white background is useful though, if you're in the middle of creating a signing and you found out, oh, I made a mistake, you can just put a text box over the mistake and then retype it. And you'll just have to size it to fit. Not cover up anything you don't want covered up. So now we're to the legal, which it's not going to put anything on. So we go back to signers. Sorry, tools. And then we'll drag an initial block. Now, when the first time you start a transaction, on initials, it does not put the date stamp. So it would look like this. So click on the box, the initial box, click date stamp, and then click save as default settings. Mine's already set as that, so it's not actually clickable. But what that'll do is then anytime you put an initial block on someone, oops. So if you're selected on the block and you change that, it'll change the person. So click off, just click in the blank space, and then you can click and switch to the other person. We'll do initials, and you can see it automatically put the date. And if you need to move the date around, just click on that and you can drag it to where you need it to be. Then another new tool that's in here. Let me find something. So let's say we need to cross something out, like you're redlining something. Let me go back. So let's say we're changing the price. Instead of using the line tool like you did in the old one, use the strike through. And strike through, you just click on one side. There we go. Oh, come on. Why is it no? Okay. So you have to click and drag to start, but it will always do, even no matter where you move the mouse, it's going to do a straight horizontal line. So it's really easy to do a nice red line through something. Whereas with the regular line, you could have it end up at an angle and it looks funny. And then freehand is literally just freehand scribble. So that would come out really bad. So if you want to delete something, just make sure none of your tools are checked. Click on it and then just hit delete on the right. And then, so if we were changing this price, we would then go to a text box, click where we want it, move it as needed, and we'll say we're doing 1.1 million. Oops. Make sure your cap locks isn't on. Actually, so I should do all words. Million. And don't worry if it wraps around once you're done. You can click on this and grab the little box on the side and you can resize it. And then if it covers up the line, like I say, you can make the background transparent. and you're not covering up anything. Another new feature is, let's say, instead of doing a red line here, you want to just change the original form. In the past, you had to go back, you'd go to forms, change your form. Then you had to add it to the signing and delete the old one and then change the order. You can now, if you click on one of these forms, if you want to delete it, you would hit remove file. But if you want to just replace it, you can click replace file, choose your updated one. So here's the new one. So let me change that to 1. And then we forgot to type it in over here. Um, and, actually, oh, that's okay. That's something Edge did. Let me go back. Okay. So I guess we do have to delete that. That still have to delete that one, but still you can do it all from inside here. Okay, I need to get my window resized properly again. Okay, remove file. Then add. Okay. Let's, okay, so let me move that back up to the top. Okay, it did something weird. It's not letting me scroll. Let me just close this. And then open it back up. Something locked up and it wasn't letting me scroll. There we go. Okay. Then another new feature you can do, which you might find a little bit quicker, is you can copy and paste signing blocks and initial blocks, or like if you need to type some text and then copy it somewhere else, you just right click on it, hit copy, and then right click where you want to put it, hit paste, and there you got another one. And then if you just want to delete a block, you can actually do it right here when you click on it, hit the trash can. So once you're done, you're going to hit next. And this is also different. if you want to set reminders, you can have it email like every day. And it will send them reminder emails. I'd recommend probably doing like every 2 days, just so you're not bugging them too much, especially like if they were out of town and waiting until they're coming back, kind of thing. And then to customize the message, click customize invites, and you've got a little email form for each person. So you type the subject there, and then you can copy and paste to the other person. If you just want it to be the same. And same with message, you can do message, different message for each person, or just type it once. Sign this. And then you can highlight it, copy it, and then paste it down below. And once you save, it'll go back to here. And you'll hit send. And then it'll come back here. So once it's sent out for signing, if you click on it, you can resend it manually if they need to. Or you can add a CC to it. If after you've sent it, you've discovered you've made a mistake, the reset button is now under the more, and you'll click reset, and that, gets rid of the signing. They still at this point will have had the email, so you'll need to let them know that you reset it. But then you can go in, make changes, and then hit next to send it again. If for some reason you set a reminder and then need to turn it off, that would be under the options here, and then under reminders. So if you had a reminder set, you can just set it to do not remind, save changes. We had that come up where one person ended up just saying, oh, I'm just going to sign it in person. So we had to turn off the reminder and then take it to them. So did anyone have any questions? So no questions. I see most people are muted still. So, okay. Well, if nobody has any questions, I guess we'll end it a little early, or if someone has questions about something else, that's fine.
All right, Chris, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And I see it looks like you're at home.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was gonna say-
it went all the way through. I'm so excited. No significant pause.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's looking like you've got a pretty good connection there.
So that's a thrill. All right, have a good week.
Okay, you too.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for everyone showing up.
Chris, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Now, my listings seller is showing me stats from Redfin, and then tells them the like the weekend activities. Do we have any kind of does Northwest Multiple Listing have any kind of stats like that?
Yeah, you're talking about like how many showings there were and that kind of thing. how many people looked at it.
Yeah,
Or, well, it's actually how many agents. Well, no, I think it includes clients if they look at it through the portal.
yeah.
Yeah, let me go back to Matrix. And let me see if I can remember where that is. Um, what's in there? Sorry. Okay, so if you go to my listings, check that one. Let me
Reverse.
see if I can remember this correctly. It's in a weird place, and I can't remember where it was. But it's called hit counters.
But that's just a particular listing, right?
Right. Well, actually, just let me. I just realized I'm as me. Let me go. Switch as Pat Lord team. Yeah, because as staff, some features are missing.
Uh-huh.
Um, okay, there we go. Okay, so yeah, you would go to my listings, and then my hit counters. And unfortunately, Pat doesn't have any listings active right now, so it's not showing up anything. But underneath there, it'll show your listings.
Right.
And then you can check, there's a box for each listing to check. So check whichever one you want to send. What you'll have to do is save it as a PDF, and then manually email that to them. Unfortunately, I put in a suggestion for it, but unfortunately you can't just email it straight from here because it's considered kind of private information, so they don't have an email function. But you can just, download it as a PDF and then email it to them. And it'll show, how many people looked at it in Matrix, on the portals, how many people saved it to favorites, how many showings there were, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Now, what if I want to know what are activities like in Linwood this last weekend?
As far as the number of showings and stuff in an area?
Not just my listing, but I like say a zip code 98036.
That you can't, well, let me check Infostats and see if it has it. The one in Matrix is only for your listings. You can't look at any other listings.
Okay.
No, the only thing in Infostats, you can do shows per pending, and you could pick, oops, let me go up here. I'll do city, Linwood. So, wow, that's pretty high. So this is showing the average or number of showings before a listing goes pending. So that's the closest you could get. You can't, see how many showings there were for an area or so forth. Um, but this is handy if, like, if you have a listing and that, you don't have an offer yet, but say you've only had 3 showings. Well, if the average is 20 before you get an offer, that's probably why you just need more showings to come in. As you can see, it's gone up a lot over the past, year and a half. Just mainly because the, inventory has been so low. Almost every house gets a ton of showings. Oh, actually, they do. Sorry, they do have. Well, they have shows per listing. Again, that's just an average, but which is pretty similar to the shows to pending. But yeah, I recommend, if you're into statistics or if you have sellers or buyers that are, I definitely recommend doing one of the classes on InfoSparks. The MLS, they don't do it too often, but they do have a webinar going over all of that. Because there is quite a bit. And it can be handy if you have something that's not selling, it might help you figure out why it might not be selling.